Turan, present, semblante, turing, ungab. Okay. Lina, okay, napali sa kuan, tulong ni kabo. Okay, dara. Kain, Garmi, Jukton, Lina, present.
Present, sir.
Inyo, and Tirante. Okay, so for this afternoon, I'll be giving you lecture with regards to control. What are the types of geodetic control and the specifications and dimensions. So I think this is good for 1 hour. Let me share my screen. Okay, kita niyo? All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
okay. These are the outline. So at first, we'll define what is geodetic control and why are we going to use them. And next is to discuss what are the types of geodetic control. And then number 4 is to discuss the specifications of control monuments. So what are the mga naka-engrave na mga lettering, no? What are the informations found in the monuments, no? So it is important for proper identification, no? So that we know what is the corresponding number and the corresponding data, especially if you're talking about the coordinates. So if your data or coordinates of that station is wrong, then probably you're going to have a wrong result. No? So that's why it's important for the naming, no? And the proper mga inscription, no, in the monument so that we can identify their name, no. And then we have here the markings, no. Ang kaning number 4 is it's all about the size, the dimension, no. And then say cement nga gamiton, no. So that's also we also discussed that one. What are the definition of mixture in order to make this monument. And then number 6 is the dimensions, no? So it's important because some of the I have experienced one some of the monuments established in the country are substandard, no? So they are not according to the specifications and dimensions stipulated in our DMC, no? So a lot of contractors doing this, no? Para mas madali ang trabaho, no? But it's a substandard nga mga monuments. And it is prone to disturbance. So dali mapukling, no? Dali tagsaray sikad, matumba ng monuments, no? So it will also be a source of error, no? If gamit ka na nga monuments. So dali lang matagilid, no? So those are so we'll discuss also that one, what are the proper or the appropriate site location of the proposed monuments, no? So especially if it is good used for geodetic applications. Except lang kung project control monuments, like for example ka ng mga barangay boundary monuments and other monuments establishing the jurisdiction of a certain municipality or barangay, no? So we cannot avoid them to put in a river in the corner of the usually mga boundaries mga barangay kaya nas mga suba no or in the mountain ranges. So kana more dili makuha no. Dili na to mapugos nga kani gyud nga area to i-select no. But other than that, the geodetic control monuments should be placed in a proper location no. And we are going to consider what are the criteria to be based on if we are going to establish the control monument. So next. Now for the learning outcomes, so these are the learning outcomes. So after we discuss, you should be able to define what is geodetic control and know the different types of geodetic control, no? So from project and geodetic. So if you notice, kasi geodetic nagbalik-balik lagi ang atong words. So geodetic control, daghan man kasi it's all about the consideration of the Earth's curvature. So tanan nga mga monuments nga mo consider tag curvature. So that is a geodetic control, no? And we have subclasses of geodetic control. So not by geodetic control gihapon and then the project control. Okay? So ayun magkalibugan na. All right. So generally, the two types of control are called geodetic control now because we are taking into account the Earth's curvature. And the number 3, so you are going to distinguish the significance, no? What are the significance of having this geodetic control, no? So what is the importance of having this? And then recognize the standard sizes and specifications, no? So may sukod ana sa mixture, say height, no? And then the recommended site location of these control monuments. All right. So, unsa man yung geodetic control? Okay, so sa ato ang geodetic surveying. So, sa inyo ang lab X number 2, no? Supposedly, if we are having a face-to-face classes, you are going to establish these control monuments. Or if, like for example, here in this campus, so I think we are over-densified na. So, you are going to just re-observe the existing control monuments. So I know nga inyo ni malabyan diri sa mga sidewalk nga mga area, no? So it's scattered all around the campus. So mato ni akong ipa-lab X niya, no? But since wala man ta ka-perform ani, so we'll discuss the specifications of this kind of monuments. Okay? So geodetic control refers to the permanent reference markers placed on the ground and precisely marked. No? So meaning na na mga mark, mga inscription, mga letterings. No? Now, example, this one, kaning sa Namria, we have the LN 176A. So I think this is a benchmark in Lanao, Laguna or Lanao. Now I don't know the exact province of the benchmark. Duha lang ka letters ang ato control monuments established by number. Yeah, that means that this monuments is a vertical geodetic control monuments. Okay, if there are 3 letters, so the letters pertains to the province where the monument is located. Okay, and then here is the control number. Ang uban na ani ko under height man, no? And the year established by the agency, no? So here the establishing agency is the NAMRIA, no? And then we have also this type of monuments. So this is the old monuments established by the USGS, no? The US Coast and Geodetic Survey. That was year 1911, no? So during the occupation of the United States. So naman to order nga ang president sa una to map out the island of the Philippines. So that's why we can still find these monuments, but seldom na lang, no? Kay I think di pang treasure ng guba. So later on, I will show you an example of these monuments, no, found in Lapu-Lapu, no, Ibo, Lapu-Lapu City. So we conducted a project boundary survey, no, for the Cebu City, and we tied up with this existing control monuments at the top of the old station, radio station, no, tower control station of the airport sa una, no. So gigamit to siya as kay man rooftop, open man ang yung sky, so that's why matong gigamit. So it is a first order nga geodetic control. So this geodetic control are located and documented. So naagad may mga kuan documentation, and it is kabantay mo sa atong database, no, sa ato ang CCPs, di ba, na ay descriptions in the last column on how to access these control points, no. So that will lead you to the location of the point, no. Aside from the geodetic coordinates, the lat long, no, dapat ay description on how to access the points. Okay, so it is properly identified, documented, and located. Okay, kung dili na to ma-locate and there's no documentation, where is the location, say pormaan na, no? So most likely di na to ma-trace as ang location sa monument, no? If magamit pa ka ang monument as your reference for a subsequent nga mga surveys, no? So that's why it's important to have those information. So why geodetic control? Okay, so nganong man, so why we need this control stations? So these control stations are important for the adjustment, no? So it is the basis for reference for the subsequent or subordinate nga mga survey. Okay, so based from this monument, if na kay another survey nga i-conduct, tie up lang ka ani nga mga monuments, no? So it will provide the standard of accuracy for the subsequent and subordinate surveys. So usually class, ang kaning atong geodetic control, they are established with higher order of accuracy, no, than the project control nga mga monuments. Okay, so mas higher ang iyang accuracy and ang required, no. So mao man gamiton gud sa NAMRIA kung if there is a movement of the tectonic plate, no. So for example, kaning sa eastern side sa atong Philippine Island, no, there is a subduction zone nga itawag na tog Mariana Trench, di ba? So nailawom diha nga portion, na subduct na nga region, then the Philippine Island is continuously pushing towards the island of Palawan and towards the island, the country of China. So ingon sila ganin sa una nga basing maabot ang time, so sa sigig move, basing maabot ang time nga ang Philippines will adjoin the island of China, no. So basing kuno nga, pero gagmay naman kayo ang iyang movement, no, pero noticeable gyapon na iyang movement. So it's about 1 to 2 centimeters per year ang iyang movement, no. So it's quite not noticeable, but all throughout as we sige na itong survey, no, and we occupy those back, so kung atong i-occupy balik, matan-an mo nga nagay slight difference sa ihang coordinates. Okay, so that's why there's a proposal to migrate from the existing PRS-92 nga system into a geocentric nga world ang iyang coverage, meaning all throughout the Earth there's only one coordinate system nga atong gamitan. Okay, so mao na ilang proposal, but until now murag na pa sige pang negotiate na kung how to realize that proposal, no, because there might be some implications for the legality, no, sa atong mga properties, mga titled properties, so nag-studyhan. Okay, so the geodetic control is also essential for the for sa ato surveying, and for the engineering surveys, no? In order to have a harmonized, so harmonic ang atong system, no? To avoid conflict of conflict sa atong boundaries sa property, no? So that's why if you see these types of monuments, so please lang pud og kanang inform sa mga residents, no, kung asa doon ang monuments to preserve this kind of monuments, no. So wala sila kabaluan na unsa ka importante, no, ang kanang monuments sa atoa nga part, no. So we as geodetic engineer, we should use that monument, no, as our reference. So if naagani na, so murag malipay ka mag-survey na kay mga reference nga lig-on, no. But without this, so murag you need to exert your effort to find additional reference nga mga mohon, no, nga monuments. Okay, so that's the essence of having this geodetic control. All right. So what are the types of geodetic control? So I have mentioned earlier that there are two, no? So one is the geodetic control and second is the project. So what's the difference between the two? Okay, so they are still called as geodetic control nga mga monuments or station, no? Ang nakalahi lang is the extent or the scope of coverage of these monuments, no? For the geodetic control, dako ang iyang area of coverage, extensive ang iyang area. Okay, then it takes into account the Earth's curvature and the geoid and spheroidal shape, no, at sea level. While the project control, it's only limited to a geographic coverage. Like for example, the jurisdiction of a certain city, no? So diha lang kutob ang imong scope, ang imong coverage, imong project. So typically, you will see these monuments kaning mga project control is kaning mga monuments for the boundary of cities, municipalities, and barangay or province, no? Provincial boundary, no? And usually they are lower order accuracy compared sa geodetic control. Okay, so ang geodetic control mas higher ang iyang accuracy, no? Because dako man ang area of coverage. So if you're going to observe this type of monuments using GPS, it takes longer hours to observe. Usually mga kuan na gani zero order, no? Zero order I experienced that one in Cebu nga 12 hours nga continuous observation, no? So dapat na kay backup nga battery bound, no, kay ang imong battery limited naman up to 8 hours and 12 hours man nga continuous ang imong kuan observation sa data for the order nga mga duration. So ang project 1 hour or 2 hours, no, nga observation pwede na, no, because mas lower ang iyang accuracy compared to the geodetic control. All right? So ang atong control, okay. Sige, next na lang. So the geodetic control serves as the basic network reference points that covers the first and second order control. But it doesn't mean nga kuan lang second order lang kutob, pwede gihapon third and fourth order na geodetic control. Okay? So mostly given sa atong geodetic control stations, they are first and second order accuracy, no? So later on I will show you the accuracy required for this type of control station. Okay, so sa geodetic control, di ba, it takes into account the curvature of the Earth and the area coverage is extensive, no? Dako ang iyang scope ani. So there are two types of geodetic control. So one for the horizontal, no? So the positioning of the points horizontally, no? And the elevation reference. So, ang horizontal is called horizontal geodetic control. Ang vertical is called vertical geodetic control. But for simplicity, no, sa Philippines, usually, ang kaning ato ang horizontal is called geodetic stations. And the vertical geodetic control is called ang ilang monuments is called the benchmark. Okay? So, benchmark ang atong pag-ana. Okay? So, one direction lang iyang data, the elevation. Okay? So, if you conduct a survey that establishes this type of monuments for geodetic, so the survey will be called as a geodetic control survey. Kung project control ang inyong establish ng mga monuments, so then the survey is called project control survey. Okay? So these are the example of geodetic control survey station, in Cebu, no? The first one on the left, this is the geodetic stations above the roof of a former abandoned receiver, rooftop abandoned receiver station of the Philippine Aeronautics Authority, no? So nakakuan ko dinhi nakasaka ko nga point. So mao nang iyang station, no? Medyo gitaay na, di na kayo maklaro ang iyang bronze nga metal, no? Pero nagyapon existing, no? Wala ni siya matandog. And if you notice in the background, this is the PISA, no? PISA, Philippine Economic Zone Authority, no? So nandito ang buildings PISA, no? Lapu-Lapu, because Lapu-Lapu City is an economic zone, no? In Cebu. Right. So this is located in Barangay Ibo, no? Lapu-Lapu City, Mactan Island. So sometime it was established sometime in 1900, no, by USCGS. It is a old triangulation station. Klaro? So don't mind the background. Kuan pa mo gid pag-adta mo, wa pa naman nakita ba? Tinga mi hala no, wa na siguro ni kay kuan man siot kayo na daga na yung mga tambak ng kahoy ba, guba na nga building abandon na. But then among gi kuan tagbo kay uka nya nangutanan ni sa kuan didto na itaw sa ubos niya gitudloan ni. So mo tong nakita na mo ang kuan station na tabunan na siya kahoy. Okay? And then the one on the right, so this is a typical geodetic control station. It is a third order, no? Kay tulo man ka numbers, no? Tulo ka numbers, meaning third order na siyang geodetic control. 3 pud ka letters ang iyang kuan dere, ang iyang name, no? Starting name. So SBU 114 is located in Naga City, no? In the plaza, no? So in front of this monument kani bitong murag na statue dere. So ano ko kabalikan to, no? So maagian na siya dere sa plane, no? Okay, so it is a third order, and this monument is also, I use this in your exam, no? Pag-compute sa pag-convert sa coordinates, no? And compute the geodetic distance. Okay. And then another example of geodetic control station in the Philippines. No, this is based on my experience when I was working in a private company prior to working here in PSU, as an instructor. So here we have another monument. This is cement gihapon, no? But I think this is not pati because they have this modified marble nga stone cut into 30 by 30 centimeters na ipapilit, no, above the top of a water tank, no. So this is in Talamban, Cebu City. So agion mo sa San Carlos nga campus, and then nangilag sa guard ngadto, then going up to the water tank of the MCWD, no. So dito open lang yung space, open sky. Then we are able to recover this monument. So it is CBU 117, no? Kaning monument. So it's a third order geodetic control, no? Then we have another here. This is benchmark. No? So for the vertical geodetic control, so benchmark, ang iyang name should start with 2 letters and then the numbers nga naka-append. So how many digit of numbers indicates the accuracy. No? For the 4-digit number sa iyang control number, no? That means it is a fourth order na vertical geodetic control, no? And the year established. Okay, and the center marker is the usually kung ano niya lansang, no? A nail, bronze nail, or ang uban diri kay murag screw ang gamiton, no? And the entity who establishes the monument. Okay, so ang benchmark class in the Philippines, no, for your information, usually this can be found near at this kilometer post. If not near, maybe around 100 meters away from this kilometer post. Kung anong gituyo nila para dali makitaan, no? And every 1 kilometer na ay benchmark nga establish ang NAMRIA, no? But specifically in Cebu, Cebu Island, no? So nanay mga benchmark na isipin. Here in Leyte, I seldom see these types of monuments, no? Okay, usually nagsige man tag ongoing widening. So some of them may have been disturbed or removed, no? Or destroyed totally, no? By the ongoing widening project of the DPWH. So, ano siya. And ako ni, no? Muna yan sa una. Murag kuan pa ko sa una. Murag niwang pa ko sa una. And then this is the service car nga magigamit. Multi-cab ra taon ni. Okay, so we have here another benchmark. And this is gipati, no? Pati on a box culvert, no? So ang kanang box culvert manggod mga stable man siya nga structure, no? Although it's part of the road. So stable man siya, so it is good to put there the benchmark. So we're not going to consider its sky openness, no? But the stability of the say concrete nga imong gipapitlan, no, sa imong pati cement. So mo nang i-consider kung benchmark ka. Pero if horizontal nga geodetic control, you should consider the sky view, no, around the monument para open for the GPS observation. Okay? Now, let's go to the another example pa rin, no? Benchmark that is located at the end of a bridge, no? So ang kanang end sa atong bridge man gud is solid class stable siya, permanent ako siyang structure, no? Nabitang prana sa utod karon ang going ang ilang pag-widening, so na sila cement at both ends of the bridge, no? Na ay baga nga semento, so anha na nila ibutan. But not at the middle of the bridge. Okay, it's not advisable to put a benchmark because tendency mo vibrate man ang bridge na to, no? Unya kung naidag kong sakyan maagi sumurag mo to kana mo bend tagamay, no? So it's not good. Put the monuments, the pati monuments, no, at the middle of the bridge. Usually at the end of the bridge wherein the concrete is more stable and big. Okay, so here also another monument in Cebu, near at the end of the bridge, no? Yung naimrag siminto nga gahi kayo. Right, so for the project control, so gamay ra kay difference aning ko ano, geodetic control. Ang project control usually class, by the way, balik tas geodetic. Geodetic usually ang iyang monuments is dili ayo taas ang iyang height, no? The projection above the surface, the soil, no? Whereas kung project control, taas ang iyang barog, no? So it protrudes higher, no, compared to the geodetic control, mas habog because ang purpose aning control class is to have a pwede ka maka-lettering sa side of the monument. Okay? So para makasuwat ka sa gilid the name of the city or barangay on where is the monument bounded, no? So ngadto na ibutang nimo kung asa ka magatubang the side of the monument, kung asa ka nagatubang unsay lettering didto mo tong pangan sa barangay or city nga imong gitan-aw. Before ang order sa LMB monument ni kung naari ang baybay, so nadiri ang baybay space nga side, no? Dili diri sa side. So sa bag-o class sa LMB, if this is the monument boundary sa baybay og Albuera, so nga rin mo basa ang baybay city the other side. So kung magatawag ka diri sa baybay, makita nimong pangan nga baybay city. Okay? So mao na ang bag-o karon, no? So later on I will give you the sample pictures of the project control, no? So typically mga paano siya, mga boundaries sa cities or barangay, no? Or provinces. So mas higher ang ihang height ani in order to accommodate the letterings on the side of the monuments. So man ang mga examples sa project control, no? So this was taken on October 16, 2012. So when I was working in FF Cruz, no, conduct me og political boundary survey sa Cebu City, Talisay, and Compostela, no. So tulo ka town nga adjoining each other. So here, kaning sa left, an example of IMM number 27, no. Is the boundary between Talisay City and Cebu City. So, ask you habog ng dagko ang mga monument sa una. Mas dako kung CBM, no? Yeah, CBM man eh. Boundary ni sa Cebu City. I think this is boundary of ano. Wala ko ma-appeal. Yeah, the same gihapon, Cebu City and Talisay. But there are, since nakakuan ko, wala ko ma-appeal rin, no? Naid ko gid nga mga MBM, CBM, no? Mas dako kaysa MBM. The boundaries of Cebu City and Danao, no? Nakakuan ko, naka-observe ko dito. Dagko pod kaayo, no? Mas dako pa ani. So, if you notice, dapit sa hawak na gud ang iyang height, no? And it's around 40. Ang top niya, 40 by 40, ang bottom niya, this is, I think, 50 by 50 centimeters, no? Ang iyang dimension sa bottom. So, gilubong, gina siya, para din siya matandog. But, sad to say nga, gamay na lang kaayo nga mga monuments, nga mga ingon-ani, no? Nga nag-exist sa ground, no? So, ang gibuhat mong good sa uban mga tao is napunoy bulawan, no? So, that's why the ilagi break, no? Ilagi buak ang kaning mga monuments. Gikuha ang kaning markers diristo nga, no? They thought that this is the gold or ano pa, it's ilang nakita, no? Kayamanan daw, no? Bulawan, no? Okay, so mana siya, no? This is BBM 98, ay hindi din ay CBM dahil boundary of Cebu City and Talisay. Okay, so napakadagan mga sample pictures for the project control, no? Pakita ninyo sa mga boundaries. If you go to your barangay, asa man mo nga town karon located, na. If you go to the boundaries of barangay, makita mo mga mga monuments. So those towns that has a cadastral project year 1960s, no? Kana nga mga year. So mao nang panahon survey ang cadastral, no? Kada town for the land registration, no? Mandatory mo to sa una. So mato yung mga time nga daghan mga ingani nga monuments nga gihimo. But malagi tong uban, gipang buak na, no? Di na kayo kita nila. Right? So for the control monuments, monument specifications, so it is stated in section 15 DMC 2010-30. So the position of reference points shall be defined and marked on the ground by monuments of permanent in nature in the form of a square base frustum as illustrated. So na figure ako ipakita later on, no? So medyo dili uniform ang iyang kuan, ang iyang lapdo, no? Mas lapad gamay sa ibabaw sa ubos, no? Yeah, pagamay. It's a frustum type of solid dimension. And the concrete monuments shall be fabricated with reinforced steel bar, no? So dapat na ay kabilya yun ang inyong no? But some of the contractors lagi sunod walay kabilya ang ubang muhon nila. And with the diameter of the steel bar of 10 millimeters for the vertical bars and 8 millimeters for the tie-ins, no? Katong hawak-hawak bitaw nga mga ipang palibot sa imong vertical bars. I see. The cement, so I think this is discussed property ni Sir Mark. Kasi unsa man ang wakalan. So 1 sack of cement, no? And then 2 sacks of sand, and then 4 sacks of gravel, no? So that's why 1:2:4, no? More than that, it is not recommended kay mahilaw na imong masa na, no? So it is a class A type of concrete cement. Kung kana nga mixture ang inyong sundo, no? Sana globat ko. Right. So if lahi nga sukod ang inyong basihan sa paghalo, no? Mix aning at ato ang mga materials, kung nakakilo, per kilo ang imong sukod sa volume, no? I mean, dili kilo. Ang volume namo is kung tahay bag o kanina ka bags of cement, depende na sa kada nga bags imong basihan, no? Basta kay ang iyang ratio is 1:2:4, no? So don't forget nga ang cement nimo 1, ang 2 nimo is mong sand, and then ang kanang 4 man ay mong gravel, no? So mas daghan ang gravel because mas lig-on kung lig-on ang imong cement, imong concrete kung naay gravel nga daghan na kumpara sa sand. Okay, so it's not advisable nga imo lang i-sand diha tanan. So 1:6, no? So dili advisable kay muliki, no? Puro sand man. So ang katong iyang bound sa siminto sa imong sand, gamto kayo, no? So that's why muliki dayon. Pero if na kay halo nga gravel, mas mukupot man, no? Kay kuha man na siya, packing, no? So naay sand, naay gravel, so maghalo diha. So then mulig ko ng iyang concrete niyang product. Okay, so another note here that the sand and gravel must be clean and free from dust and mud. Okay, for any organic matter. So di pwede na ihalo ng yuta, no? So ang mahitabuan na kung naihalong yuta, di na kayo lig-on ang iyang band sa concrete, no? Dali na siya mo dugmok, no? Dali crack. Okay, so the concrete monuments shall be cast in place where they will be established. Okay? So, mo to ang forma, no? Dili. So, later on ako ipakita ang sa iyahang sukod and dimensions. So, the marking of monuments. So, what are the markings? So, importante mo na, no? Dili lang kay monument na okay na. Dapat na kay markings. So, markings are governed in Section 16 of the MC 10-13, and it is supplemented with information in Annex 3.A.1. Okay, so the information of the markings. So usually ang kung naka-geodetic control sa app, kay gamay ang habog ana, no? Ang project control yung markings na sa majority kilid gina, no? Naka-engrave dito letterings. So the letters consist of 5 parts. Number 1 is the provincial code, the control point number, the year it was established, and the order of accuracy, and then the last one is the entity or the office that established the control monument. Okay? So for the di ba naman tayo provincial code? So for the complete list of the provincial code, just look at in the Annex 4 of the MC, no? If in case na ay bago nga provinces, no, kay sige man nagkuha ng mga congressman, no, o himog province. Like for example, in Region 7 na ato'y proposal nga kuan himuong one province ang usa ka ang Negros, no? It's one province. So balibuwag ko na sa Region 7 ug sa Region 6. So usa lang ka province ang kuan Negros, no? So magibalik magwa man to na approve. So area will be consulted in case there is new provinces will be created. No? So the numbering of the control points should be start from 1 to 3,000 if numeriya ang nag-establish ana. But if LMB or LMS, so ang kaning LMS mo ning land management services located at each regional office, the DNR. No? So their numberings should start from 3001 and so forth. Okay. So the name of the office or entity that established the control point shall be inscribed using only one word. Okay, isa lang kuno ka word. Like, sa mga uban nga word. FF Cruz, no? So, isa lang na ka word. Tulio, RC Tulio, no? So, Pintor surveying. So, isa lang ka word. So, word which could be either be an acronym, company name, or surname of the person. Okay, so to avoid duplication of numbers, the establishing entity shall coordinate with the numria for the first and second control points and with the concerned LMS regional office for the third and fourth order control points. So ang atong geodetic control points is from first order up to fourth order, no? So ang third and fourth order ana that is equivalent to the primary, ang fourth man ang equivalent to secondary nga project control. So LMS shall furnish the data to the LMB control points for the updating of reference points national database. So there's a national database list of geodetic control points, no? So that's why katong Excel yung gihatag ninyo. So that's one of the database, but is not the real one. Okay, dapat official gid ang data kuha nimo. And so ingon nila dili kuno ta updated ang katong ako ang gihatag ninyo nga database ato mga GCs. All right. All the letters and numbers shall be in Arial bold. So dapat ang imuhang lettering daw Arial bold ang iyang font style. no? Dili ka to more gutik-gutik na mga ikog-ikog, no? So it will kuan. So gani basta di na mabasa hinuon ang iyang pangalan ano kung ingana nga style of lettering. And also if you are going to inscribe in a concrete kanang kuan pa basa nga cement to, dili advisable ang kanang mga Gothic style, di ba? Kay naman ikog-ikog na. Liki ang simento ni mga ana. So that's why it is simplified as Arial bold nga font style. And in all capital letters with a minimum height of 2.5 centimeters and the width of or the thickness width of the letter, no? 2 centimeters. So 2 centimeter mga waka about 1 inch ang iyang kuan, no? Ang iyang width, no? Ang height is 2.5 medyo taas gamay. And then the thickness. So mo ni ang gibag-on sa imong kada stroke sa imong letter, no? 0.4 centimeter. So magkatungha lang sa 1 cm, no? With margins not less than 2 centimeters. So kung ano imong kuan pinaka edge sa imong monuments, so na kay margin nga 1 inch or 2 centimeters. So ang purpose anang naay margin class is to give allowance for chipping, no? So matipak mo masahay usually, no? Especially kanang height kayo ang kilid, skinado kayo. So tendency ana kung mabanggaan igog bato, kay gina matipak. So that's why if matipak na o di na mabasa ang kuan ang iyang mga letterings dira, no? So magtagna-tagna na bugkaon sa nga letter. Alright, so letter F. So timan ini class ha. When you are going to put some markings, no? Or names of the monuments and some other inscriptions, these things should be considered, no? So the monuments should bear the mark of government property. So sa among nahitabo class Cebu, wa na may space, no? Because ang katong iyang height dito is around 60 centimeters siguro tong iyang habog, no? Above the ground. And then kung imo nasihan kani nga height, nadaghan na yung mga pangan sa barangay nga tag-as bitaw. So di na paigo kani nga last nga kuan name, no, kaning government property. So wala lang namabutang eh. Pero na okay ra man gihapon ang DNR ato. Ilagitan na sige, okay na lang kay wa may space, no. Di naman paigo. So GovProp which stands for the government property. So that's why kanang atong mga monuments it is funded by the government. So dapat ato na preserve, no, para magamit nato later on. So kita may directly affected ani if maguba ang mga monuments, no. So we should be also have a obligations to inform our citizens to not destroy or damage the monuments, no, if the found. All right. So these are the dimensions of the geodetic control monuments. Okay. For the first order, ang iyang top dimension is 30, ang iyang bottom is 40 by 40. So it is a frustum type of solid, no? And the length of this monument is 1.2 centimeters, 1.2 meters. And above ground, 20 centimeters. So gamay na lang kaya, no? Below ground is 100 centimeters. So 1 meter gid ang lubong. Anong ingon ana man? Geodetic man eh. Dapat siya dali-dali man disturb. So ilubong gyud pag-ayo. No? So that's why gamay lang iyang projection above ground. Okay, sa geodetic control. Second order, maura gihapon yung top 30 by 30, ang bottom 40 by 40, this length, and the same same ang yung height above ground and below, no, nga i-buried na ato ilubong. Third order, medyo gamay-gamay na ang ihang top dimension 25 by 25. And bottom is 35 by 35 centimeters. And the height is the same, 1.2 meters. And the same po ang ihang height above and below the ground, no? 20 and 100 cm. So fourth order, gamay na ang iyang top. So usually mo ni ato makita as highway, no? And this is also, you can see this type of monument sa guard post na to. Kanang sa ato ang gate. Sa dapit sa may kanang uhong, kanang mushroom nga kuan. Mushroom nga siminto, no? Na dito makita ni. So that's LYT 3707. I think that's the number, no? So 20 by 20 nya 35 by 35 mga ubos ana. But sa guard post is having this same specifications. So I think kung ano na ang taas ra ato may 2020 nya, ang lubong ato or siguro mga 60 ra. And then dili pag to kwadrado ang bottom ato, murag lingin ra to, no. So some of the contractors doing that project, wala nila gisunod ang atong standard sizes and specifications. Okay, so man ang atong size of monuments. So nakapostom ang iyang kuan. Side view ta, no? Ang iyang top mo ni 30 by 30 for first and second order. Ang bottom 40 by 40, no, for the first and second order ng geodetic control. Okay, and then the inscription or letterings for the geodetic control usually is located or found on the top of the monument, no? Not on the side, no, the ceiling. So there are 4 information here. Makita na to, no? 4 or 5. 5 guy. CGY stands for Guyane. 3,000. This is the control points established by Namria, no? The monument. 2,000 here it was established, and then second order, but usually class uban nga wala na ni, no? So asa man makita na timan-an, nari na siya makita sa number of digit na sa iyang control point usually class. Okay, but naapoy uban nga mga geodetic control nga gi-upgrade na, although 4 numbers nga ri i-observe sila many times, no, or longer hour of observation. So nahimo na hinuon ni siyang first or second order instead of fourth order nga geodetic control. Okay?
3,000 fourth order.
Gets? Hello? Okay pa ba?
Sir,
Yep.
di ba
Okay.
3,001 man ang LMS2 ba?
Yeah. Oh, may kinakita nimo, no? 3,001 to and above, no? So maybe example ni siya dong, no? Example lang eh. So sayo yung example. And mostly wala na ning kuan dere, kaning second order. Although sa atong kuan DMC na agi dito gi-specify gid ng batangan. But really good sa 30 by 30 may uban nga dagko ang lettering, so dili na enough ang space to put this word, no, second order. So usually ang kasagaran kaning first line and then the NP nga nag-establish ana. Okay, so good, no? Dapat di ay dili ni MS na Maria ni, no? Kay 3,000 man dere. Okay, for the project control, this is, I think, a wrong example gihapon. Project control, mostly, naagi na sa gilid ang mga information, mga letterings, mga pang-engrave. So, sa akong gingang example, bye-bye Aldoira, no? First, ana is a name of the town or city, baka, no? Barangay. And then the monument number, no? So kintahay BBM 25, no? Ang kaning BLM, this is usually na BLM nga project yapa, no? Mostly ang BLM na to gigamit sa geodetic control, no? But there are cases nga ang BLM nga mga monuments was established under the project control, no? So ang kaning middle nga ni, this is the if you notice mo na ang iyang survey number, no? So kanang a project. Okay, so CAD means cadastral project number 542-D. So -D here stands indicates that the project was conducted by a private nga contractor, no? Private nga geodetic engineer, no? Not government, no? BL stands for the Bureau of Lands, no? So I think this control is established by the Bureau of Lands, no? Year 1979. So again class, ako mo i-remind nga project control usually ang ihang kaninga mga letterings na is gilid, not on the top. Okay? So unsa ka may nasa top sir kung kuan project control. So ang nasa top kanilang gyud ang mark, no? Ang kaning triangle or complete nail baka wala na ning mga letterings uban dinhi, no? So I think this example gi-edit ko siguro tong sa babaw nya gi-copy nya gibutangan ni ani. But in my project, no, sa akong na experience in Cebu City year 2012, kami mga pangan sa barangay na ginasgilid, no? Kung asa ka nagatubang. So, for example, San Fernando Bukidnon, no? Diri na ibutang. So, ang San Fernando ana nga town is na dito sa unahan. Okay? So, press ta ka example gi ingon ganiha, no? Kung asa ka nagatubang, mao imong mabasa. Mo siya welcome remark bitaw, welcome mark. Padong nakasa, no? Welcome to Ormoc, no? So makita nimo mo na imong padulngan, no? That's the name of the town where you are going to. Okay, so for the selection of location, importante na how to select the location of a geodetic control monuments, no? Ang kanang project kay murag dili man na kayo mapugos nato nga i-follow nato ning kuan nga guidance, no? But for the geodetic control, because it is usually used for the subsequent surveys and it is the higher order accuracy, so we need to follow these standards, no? So as indicated in DMC section number 17, the monuments shall be established as close as possible in a stated network design, no? So natay triangulation network design, it should be followed. So kung tahay naman kay design na ano, so design lang ka drawing, no? So later on ako kapay mga LabX ana nga ipahimo network design, and taking into consideration the objective of preventing its destruction and loss, no? So dapat ibutang nimo nga dali ma-damage ang imong station and di pod mawala, no? So example, kung ibutang nimo imong station daplin sa suba nya home ang yuta, no? So if naibaha nya ma-erode ang soil nga gibutangan sa imong monuments, then probably mawa gid ang monument, no? So that's why you may consider ang ihang location. So the spot of the location shall be readily identifiable and easily to find. So number one, no? And it shall provide the most stable ground. So dapat ang ground, ang yuta, ang soil is stable and has a considerable distance from shorelines, riverbank, no, kung di nga ganyan, no? Beaches, at mga dikes, no? To prevent its displacement in case of landslide, erosion, and rising of water level. Okay, so mana ito consider na. So katong inyong LabX1, if you perform that, no, inyong gi-examine ang mga existing mga monuments inyong gi-recover. So one of the objectives there is to examine if stable pa ba ang atong monuments, open pa ba yung sky, no, atong mga geodetic stations. I hope nga na ato dito, no, ako ka-check sa inyong LabX1. And the monuments shall be located in an area with a safe distance from the road, no? So kani dapat safe distance from the road, no? Because right now there is still an ongoing widening project, no? And mostly these monuments are found along the side of the road, no? And it is prone to destruction, no? Kaya may ongoing widening. So, mo na kung kamo pohon, if you are going to have this kind of project na dapat inyo gina-consider, no? Na magamit po ang mohon, di kayo mag-establish after pila ka years, nawa na. So, sayang atong funding, no? Sayang ang kwarta sa atong government nga para day, wa na to magamit ang project na ayang result. Okay? So, a right of way or from the proposed expansion. So, naa ko na i-propose ng mga expansion sa road, in man i-distansya gamay, for the road widening, o dahil giingaw na gid, where it is likely to be subjected to damage, disturbance, or obliteration in the future. Okay? So, that's why, sir, what if wa nagilain mo butangan? No? So, what if wa nailain mabutangan gyud? Kung atong iatras gamay na may kahoy, no? Okay, so mana dapat inyo na i-balance class. You should consult the NAMRIA baka or the LMS in order to how to decide dapat pag butangan diha or ato na lang i-condemn, no? And find another location for that particular monument. Okay? And maybe you can revise the network design, no? Para mas nindot. All right. The nature of soil shall be observed so that the required depth below the ground and the length exposed above the ground can be determined. Okay? So, dapat dili good sandy ang imong soil nga butangan. Okay, kuan dali man na siya makuan, ma-erode. Mas maayo og gahi, no? And then, letter E, priority area shall be a government-owned land. Okay, so, di ba katong sa Labex 1 nato, no? Dapat if nasa private property ang atong monument, so if naay no trespassing, so i-avoid na ninyo, no? Basig makuan mo, trespassing man na. So, if you, no, pohon, if maghimo mo ani nga mga stations, so it should be located at the government-owned property. Okay? Wherein the accessibility and the security of the monument can be assured. Okay? So, man na sa mga inungda, no? Nga dapat nasa government nga owned land. Okay? So, we have the ongoing proposal right now here in Region 8 to establish a baseline. So, maantag makaabot mo nga rin na pohon, no? The proposal to make a baseline here in BSU campus, no? So, para dili na ito mag-calibrate sa atong instrument going to the UP Diliman calibration baseline, no? The South Superhighway. So, ang BSU sa Region 8 may one of the best location because it is a government land. So, and it is also natay dagko nga lugar diri sa BSU campus, no? Nga pwede ta makabutang ang baseline because ang baseline is the length is 210 meters. So, ang iyang interval is 30, 60, and 120 meters. Ang apat ka monuments. So, natay ongoing nga proposal. So, maybe if you come here this summer, no? Or by August, maka-establish na ta ani nga baseline. So maybe you will be also, we need your help to establish these monuments, no? And construct, no? So natay mga specifications for this type of monuments. So ang kaning calibration monuments is much bigger, no? Compared to the standard geodetic and project control ng mga monuments. Okay? So hopefully magkita ta next semester, no? Or karong summer baka to help us build this baseline. So, ma-approve talaga ni Sir Colin. Okay, any questions? Clarifications? None? Yes? Escobedo?
Question lang regarding what would happen to control points nga mga private properties?
Yeah, if naagi mga monuments, no, nga gibutang sa mga private property, ang wa gito himuanan, no, kung ingon tagiya nga ako ni tabunan or ako ni gubon kay na ako'y balay nga itukod. So we cannot di na to sila mapugna, no? But if there's an agreement now prior to the construction of the monument, so if may agreement nga gipapirmahan sa owner of sa Namria, then probably dili to mapugos og destroy, no, ang atong monument within the private property. So yeah, good question, no? Itong mga kuan as private property, mas mao siguro gibalhin na lang to sa mga area nga government ang area. Okay, so unlike lang kung kuan Timberland. So Timberland is fully government mong nag-control ana. So okay na, no? But there are instances nga kuan gyud na as private property. Mostly kana mga kuan project control, no? Kana mga NBN, PBN, mga BBM, no? Usually na as mga private property. So what yung himo na? No? If mingon tagiya nga, wa mo na nang pagbutang ani. Agad. Okay, some more questions? Han? Sige, so continue na ta. Sige na ta klase ha. Para ma-pan na to. And then I will be proposing for a makeup class katong mga na-miss na mga classes. Parang may pasanggan na. So I think there are no more questions. So thank you for coming this afternoon. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Sige, bye, sir.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.